guys, what's up? It's Tricky Jimmy here, back with another video. So I decided, since it's pre-season, to do a little video on Runes Reforged for a champion that I main, Gangplank, and really just give you an idea of what's the best thing to go for, and why, and what they actually do, and why some other choices aren't the best. So we'll look at this is the page that I've been doing for a little while now. So pretty much, actually, you know what? We're gonna do a new page. So I'll start off like this. So I've looked through everything, as I'm sure most of you have. Inspiration is the most inspiring tree for GP, I think. Kleptomancy has seemed to be probably the best keystone out of all of them. It's really ridiculous at the moment. I'll just read it out. After using an ability, your next attack on a champion grants bonus gold. There's a chance you'll also gain a consumable. So this is really busted in lane. Pretty much as soon as you Q the enemy, you'll get a consumable or you'll get a sack of gold. And if you sell that sack of gold, you'll get 65 gold, or you can also just consume it, but it's not wise to consume the gold because it gives you a value between 20 and 100. So on average, you'll get 60 gold by consuming it across, a couple of sacks. But if you sell it, it'll be on average 65 per sack. So it's better to sell those. Just by the way. So if we go for Kleptomancy, you can then look at all the other rune slots. This one, it features Hextech, Flash Traption, Biscuit Delivery, and Perfect Timing. This first one, it's pretty crap. The main reason why it's bad is because it's not a regular flash. It channels for a little bit, and when you're in combat, channeling the flash, and I'm pretty sure it gets cancelled if you're in combat. It goes on a 10-second cooldown when you enter champion combat. Okay, so I believe it gets cancelled. So it's not brilliant when you're in a fight, which is when you need it the most. So it's between Biscuit Delivery and Perfect Timing for this one. Perfect Timing is situational. You can take it when you're going to be tower dived, or if you're against someone like a Zed or a Fizz. Those are the main matchups in the mid lane, which I would take it for. So you can sort of use the Zhonya's for the Zed ult and also the Fizz ult. But Biscuit Delivery, it gives you more sustain. On average, it's just a lot better. It gives your laning phase a lot more overall. So situationally, you'll go for Perfect Timing, but for most matchups, you'll probably take Biscuit Delivery. So the next set is the next set of runes. It features Magical Footwear, Futures Market, and Minion Dematerializer. Now, I've tried all of these in a couple of games. Minion Dematerializer I started off with because there's this really annoying part of the game on GP where a barrel with the Sheen proc, it gets all of the back minions down to about 10 health, and I thought maybe by killing minions with Minion Dematerializer, I'd get permanent bonus damage versus that minion type, and I'd be able to clear the wave. But I tried it, and it didn't really seem to make much of a difference. And I haven't seen anyone else taking this. I'm pretty sure it's bad, so I would steer clear of Minion Dematerializer. Futures Market, I also tried for a little bit. What it's good for is it's good for reaching your power spikes when you're not quite there, when you don't have enough gold. Like, you know, Triforce, IE, that sort of thing. It can be useful in that situation. Sheen as well, if you haven't quite got enough gold on your first back. But overall, magical footwear, I believe, is what most people take. It's what, you know, people like Tobias and Nick Jojo take, as well as the majority of GP players. In the first 10 minutes, you don't really want to be wasting gold on boots, because you need those Triforce components. So the slightly magical boots, sort of, it's free 300 gold, and it really gives you the freedom to spend your money on other stuff other than boots, and you can sell them at the end of the game for more damage, as you usually do on Gangplank. So magical footwear is you're probably always going to take this rune in that slot. Futures Market is okay. Minion Dematerializer is rubbish, quite frankly. So yeah, magical footwear, you probably want to take that most of the time. The next slot includes Cosmic Insight, Approach Velocity, and Celestial Body. Celestial Body seems not brilliant for Gangplank. It doesn't synergize brilliantly with his kit. 100 health permanently, 10% damage to champions and monsters until 10 minutes. At monsters, you know, you're not going to be touching them before 10 minutes. 100 health permanently, it's, you know, you don't really care about that on Gangplank. And I've noticed a lot of these runes include movement speed buffs, and it's not really one of the stats that you want as Gangplank. Gangplank has a lot of innate movement speed. Getting all this extra move speed from these rune slots is kind of pointless. You don't really want it. Cosmic Insight, you just look at it, that's just the bread and butter for Gangplank. That's what you got from your previous, I forget the name of the mastery, but it was in the Cunning tree, the one before Thunderlords. But yeah, it gives you the extra 5% CDR and also the max CDR. And the other CDRs are pretty important as well. So this is, you're going to take this every time on Gangplank. The other two are just nowhere near as good. So that concludes the first tree, your primary tree of inspiration for Gangplank. And now onto the secondary path. So the secondary path of Gangplank Ruins. So you've got 4 options. You've taken inspiration as your main tree, and then you've got 4 options as your secondary tree. You need to pay attention to the extra stats you get from these different trees. So Precision will give you Potion and Elixir Duration. I believe they all do. Yeah, so they all give you Potion and Elixir Duration. But Precision gives you 20% attack speed. Domination gives you 16 AD. Sorcery also gives you 16 AD. And Resolve gives you 145 health. So it's, out of those buffs alone, Domination and Sorcery are looking like your strongest to go as your secondary path. And if you just have a quick look in the Precision one, which would be the next best, looking at possibly Triumph, and then Permanent, Lifesteal, Tenacity, and Attack Speed. Again, they're not brilliant for Gangplank. Maybe this one, deal more damage to low health enemies. That would be the only one that would be slightly viable. But it's nowhere near as good as Domination and Sorcery. So what I do is I take Sorcery, and I'll show you the runes in that slot. So you can pick 2 of these 9 runes. Um, Nullifying Orb, it could be used very situationally against magic damage dealers. You gain a magic damage shield when taken to low health by magic damage, so maybe you'd use this against Fizz, or some other oppressive magic damage dealer, probably in mid lane. If you really were scared of dying in lane, you'd probably take this, but most of the time it's much better to go for Transcendence, first of all. You've got to take Transcendence every time, pretty much. Because this is what you lost in Runes back in Season 7. You'd take 10% CDR, so this time you reach it at level 10, so you don't get it at level 1, which is a bit unfortunate, but by level 10 you'll have your 10% CDR, and each percent of CDR exceeding the limit will be converted to AD, so if you'd like to go for a lethality build with Yomu's and Duskblade, you often overcap your CDR if you do that, if you've got Triforce as well. So Transcendence will give you a bit of extra damage when you're capping that CDR out. But yes, this is a must. You need to take this. You must take this. And there's really not many other options for your second rune. Scorch, I believe, is what most people take. Your first ability hit every 20 seconds burns the champions, and it does between 30 and 60 bonus magic damage. So obviously this is a good trading tool in lane. It won't be as useful late game. It'll be kind of negligible late game, which is why Gathering Storm actually will scale a lot better than Scorch. If you've got a 40-minute game, for instance, you'll end up with 50 extra AD, which is going to do a lot more than the 60 magic damage on hit, or on ability hit. So if you're looking for early trades in lane, Scorch is good for that. It just gives you a lot more laning power, a lot more trading potential, and a lot more damage in your trades. Gathering Storm, however, is good if you don't want to fight in lane, if you want to sort of sandbag the laning phase and try and get to late game. This will be more beneficial as the game goes on compared to Scorch. Water Walking, you get more move speed in the river. It's not really worth discussing. Celerity, you get more move speed. Move speed, as I said before, it's not a high priority for GP, so probably don't want to be wasting a rune slot on one of those. Absolute Focus, you do more damage when you're higher health. You're not necessarily going to be high health a lot on Gangplank. He doesn't have a lot of healing. He's got the W heal, but that's only really used when you're low. And it's certainly not going to get you up to 70% HP if you're using it to survive. So this isn't going to be used an awful lot. You probably don't want to take Absolute Focus. As I said, Transcendence is very important. That's going to be one of your rune slots. Mana Flow Band, every 60 seconds your next ability used has its mana cost refunded and restores a bit of your missing mana. Mana is a bit of a problem for Gangplank very early on in the game, but you probably don't want to take this rune, because out of the laning phase there's really not much point in having it. A bit of a waste after the lane. The Ultimate Hat is one that could be alright. Your ultimate's cooldown is reduced by 5%. Each time you cast your ultimate, its cooldown is further reduced by 2%, stacks up to 5 times. So you can get a maximum of 15% cooldown reduction on your ult. Gangplank's ult is now not very good. Because we lost TLD, TLD doesn't work on your ultimate anymore, so the ultimate hat is quite, it means you'll have it up more, but it's not as strong, obviously, so I don't think it's too good. You're going to have 45% CDR from other sources, so this extra ultimate cooldown isn't really important for me. So yes, Transcendence and Scorch if you want laning power, and Gathering Storm if you're definitely going to not be trading in lane and you just want to get to late game, which, you know, that could happen in some lanes. If you're against a tank, who, like someone like Malphite, where you probably start a cull, and there's not a whole lot of point in trading with him because you won't kill him. So Gathering Storm in that situation might be more effective than Scorch. In blind pick, I'd probably just go for Scorch, but in ranked, if you know who you're against, then you might want to take Gathering Storm there. So that concludes the Inspiration Sorcery Runes Reforged for Gangplank. You've got your Inspiration with Kleptomancy, Biscuit Delivery, Magical Footwear, and Cosmic Insight. And then you've got your Sorcery with Transcendence and Scorch. So this is pretty much what you take most of the time for Gangplank. It's what I usually do. There is the other option to go for the Grasp of the Undying Keystone. I don't really bother with this. It's mainly for top lane, if you want to build Bruiser Gangplank with Sterark's Gauge, and maybe the Tiamat into the Wave Clear Tiamat item. But again, the individual runes in the Resolve tree aren't as good for Gangplank, so Grasp isn't as effective unless you really need it in lane. So most of the time, in fact, I would say all of the time, Inspiration and Kleptomancy is going to be the main keystone for GP. So this page, the Kleptomancy Keystone with Biscuit Delivery, Magical Footwear, Cosmic Insight, Transcendence, and Scorch, is probably going to be what most Gangplanks will use, and it's what I use. There's a few instances where you want to be situational, so the Perfect Timing could be situational, your Gathering Storm could be situational, and Nullifying Orb is also situational. Pretty much everything else isn't any good, and these are the best. So yeah, hope you enjoyed my little breakdown of the new Gangplank rune page for Season 8. I think some people are saying GP is worse. I honestly feel like he's a bit stronger. Your laning phase is way better, because you've got your base stat buff that Riot did of AD and armor and magic resist, so you get a little bit of beef, as well as a lot of what you used to have in runes, and these extra things like all these consumables and the free boots and the free biscuits. So I think it's a buff for GP, and I'm going to be using him in ranked to try and get to Masters, and I'll be doing a few episodes of that when I get a new computer, which will hopefully be in a week or two. I'll be able to record my games without going down to 10 FPS, so that should be a cool new series. And yeah, I'll be using this rune page, so make sure you give this a try, and tell me how it works for you in the comments. So yeah, thanks very much for watching.